For more than 100 years, the White House Correspondents Dinner has celebrated the First Amendment and freedom of the press. And the annual event is also a fundraiser for journalism scholarships. This year, the White House Correspondents Association, led by CBS News' Weijia Jiang, awarded $156,000 in grants to 30 college students. That's the highest amount since scholarships started more than 3 decades ago. The recipients are invited as guests to the dinner at the Washington Hilton, but obviously this year, the celebration was interrupted when a gunman tried to storm the event at the hotel's ballroom. He was allegedly targeting the president and administration officials. Joining us now are 2 recipients of the scholarships. Kaitlin Bender-Thomas is a student at Northwestern University's Medill School of Journalism, and Madison Maynard is a student at Howard University studying broadcast journalism. Thank you both so much for being here. Obviously, also after what you've been through this last week, I just want to get your experience of what you heard, what you saw. Kaitlin, why don't you go first, and then Madison?
Yeah, so it started off as a normal day, a very exciting day. I was in the ballroom when all of this happened. I remember I was standing up and I saw a lot of commotion at the back of the ballroom where the entrance was. And so I remember looking and just thinking, you know, what's going on? And then all of a sudden I heard everybody say, you know, everybody get down, everybody get down. So I remember rushing to get down. I remember hearing the sound of gunfire in the distance. I remember seeing what appeared to be a Secret Service agent saying shots fired. And so it was at that moment that I really got a grasp onto what was actually happening, because before then I was, you know, pretty much in the dark and just as confused as everyone else in the room.
Yeah. Madison, what about you?
Yes, so I was beginning to eat my salad, mingling with the other scholars, and we were really curious about how the night was going to go. Of course, we knew that there were protesters outside, that President Trump was in attendance, so we were thinking, are there going to be people walking out? We thought that was going to be possibly the big story of the night. But instead, I heard commotion, looked behind me, saw people barging into the ballroom and screaming, get down, dropped to the floor. We crawled under the table. I was trying to pull scholars that weren't able to get under, trying to pull them under, and some of them weren't able to, so I was just really stressed about that. And then, of course, you hear the gunshots, and then heard Secret Service say, affirm shots fired, and that's when I started to pray and started just praying for everyone's safety, and also worried because I didn't have my phone on me. I left my phone on the table, and I was worried that if, God forbid, anything happened, I wouldn't be able to say goodbye to my family, or if the news broke before we were able to safely rise up, that my parents would panic and call and text, and I wouldn't be able to contact them. So it was just a lot of different emotions.
Very scary. What was it like to be there celebrating journalism and then see all of these journalists then spring into action and start reporting and do what journalists do? And how does this make you feel about pursuing this field going forward? Kaitlin, then Madison again.
Yeah, I think that experience really just spoke to the importance of journalists in times like this. You know, having to act fast, think quickly, and inform the people and deliver accurate information. I think it's frightening to consider that, you know, journalists have to be in circumstances like that. But at the end of the day, I feel like we have a very important duty to inform, to give a voice, and yeah.
As scholars, we even, once things were looking a little bit more safe for us, we even pulled out our phones and started recording, taking pictures of everything that was going on inside of the ballroom. So it wasn't entirely surprising that so many members of the press that were in attendance decided to do that and decided to report on on that situation because, of course, with the President of the United States being there and so many members of the cabinet being there, of course this was going to be breaking news. Of course this was going to be all over the press, all over social media, Twitter, Instagram. So we also, as scholars, jumped in, and I even, in the aftermath, was posting videos on my Instagram, photos on my Instagram to report what was going on. And it really wasn't surprising. If anything, you knew it was a room full of journalists based on the amount of phones that were out in the aftermath.
Well, Kaitlin Benner-Thomas and Madison Maynard, our industry will be bright if you both decide to stay in it, and I hope that you do. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.